so much, Annie. So any public comment on items not on today's agenda or announcements? Well, I will make one. I got a message yesterday from a Rosebud County Commissioner, and Rosebud County over in Forsyth is interested in joining the Big Sky Passenger Rail Authority. So they will be debating a resolution coming up. They've advertised it and the public meeting is scheduled. So
well done, Dave.
We are making some additional inroads. Any other public comment on items not on the agenda? Belated happy birthday, Andrew.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.
Oh, when was Andrew's birthday?
Monday.
Oh, happy birthday. We didn't know.
All right, let's just dive right into it. So our first two items are brought to us by Nicole. Or at least your name is on the agenda, Nicole. So whichever one of you wants to present would be fine. And then we have a couple of correspondence items too. So we'll take the correspondence out of order right after your two action items. So the first refers to Bedrock Sandals.
Thanks, Dave. So this first item is an extension of the job creation contract assisting Bedrock. It extends their contract for an additional year, and it increases their award amount from creating 6 jobs to 9. So they have completed their first year's hiring plan, and they're moving on to their second year plan.
And just describe again, what are they doing here in Montana versus they have an office or offices elsewhere, correct?
So their main office is here and all of their employees are here. They contract out for the actual manufacturing of their sandals. So their kind of administrative offices here over on the north side. And they create a river sandal, kind of like a Tiva, that's becoming more and more popular, and their demand rose during the pandemic. Actually, their online sales increased, and so they
Commissioner Strohmeyer wears them.
Yeah.
I do wear them. Yes.
That's great. So do I. I'm a big fan, actually. And obviously not just because we're all big fans at MEP, but yeah, so they're doing great. They are kind of, one thing they've done is they've moved their, they really focus on the sustainability of their products, and they will resole your sandals and repair them if they break. You can send them back in. So they've hired some people to do repairs from their place here, and yeah, they're continuing to be a great partner. So really glad they're here.
I was not aware of the repair option. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Any questions, Juanita, on this?
Nope. I need to purchase a pair. I will do that. I'm waiting to run out my Chacos, but I move to approve the amendment to the agreement.
Okay.
And extend the contract. Yeah.
Excellent. I will second that. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye. Really glad they're here.
Nicole, I'm going to be so glad. I've been getting messages for like a month from Department of Commerce for this item, and can never keep straight which ones we've already voted on and which ones we have not. So I will take care of that. Next, Coaster Pedicab, which we actually toured yesterday.
Oh, great. So, that's awesome. I haven't been out there in a while, so you probably heard the latest from them that they've leased additional space out in Bonner, and they're ramping up production of their, I think they're focusing more on cargo bikes now. And yeah, so this is a draw request on their grant. They have a job creation grant to create 19 jobs. They've had that since 2019. We kind of extended their contract through the pandemic. The Department of Commerce was really willing to work with companies, to kind of keep their grant contracts active during the pandemic, as a lot of hiring stopped, and then they shifted their focus to PPE manufacturing and hired a bunch of temp employees. Now they're back to kind of normal operations. They're ready to They've hired, 6 people, I think?
Mhm.
Yes, this draw request is for 6 jobs on that 19 job grant contract.
Great. Any questions on this? Or a
Nope.
motion?
I move to approve the request for payment for Big Sky Economic Trust Fund grant assisting Coaster Pedicab. Oh, Josh, you're muted.
Enjoyed our tour at Coaster Pedicab yesterday. Great work out there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good.
I think that was a second.
That's the second.
Any further discussion on this particular item, item number 2? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nicole, before we cut you loose, and just so you don't have to stick around for all of these other items, why don't you talk to us about the 2 letters under correspondence?
Right. So the first one is for Coaster Pedicab. Again, I mentioned that we've extended their grant contract. It ends in July, and we are asking for an additional year extension on this one, mostly due to the pandemic. Their plans just got delayed. So hopeful that Department of Commerce will grant them additional time. They do expect to complete that hiring plan of 19 jobs. So that's what this letter requests for the first item.
And Selixa?
Selixa is pretty much the same deal. They have a contract to create 5 jobs. They've hired 1 so far, and we put in a draw request for that 1 person. And I know they hired an additional person in June. So we're just asking for additional time for them to hire the remaining 3 people.
Nicole, can you remind me who Selixa is again, or where they're at? I'm sorry.
Sure. They are out on West Broadway, and they are a fiber optic cable company.
Thank you.
Yeah, that does work all over the world. Actually, their cables go in everywhere, and they have an office here in Missoula.
If I remember right, it's really super cool environmental monitoring.
Yep, that's
Yes.
right.
The guy talked to us. He said my favorite business quote of the year when we asked why Missoula, and he said, "Being in Missoula offers his firm a competitive hiring advantage."
Thank you for reminding me about that.
One of my favorite quotes. So.
Yeah, that's a really good soundbite.
All right, well, we will get those things signed and out the door. So thanks, Leidy and Nicole.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's return to our agenda with item number 3. Dory. Mowing. We always love these mowing contracts. Oh, you're muted, Dory. There we are. Up, your lips are moving, but no sound. The fancier the headphone, the worse the reception. Up, we've gone black. Okay, maybe we'll come back to the mowing contract. Let's move on to item number 4. Lisa Beskevich, MOU between Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies.
Good morning, Commissioners. I am here today to present a $5,000 memorandum of understanding between the state substance use disorder prevention coalition called Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies, with our local one, Healthy Start Missoula, that Anna Semple leads. And what this is there's 3 deliverables in this MOU for $5,000. One is to do an asset mapping exercise around drug and alcohol-free events for young families, 0 and mothers 0 to 3 years old, and creating a resource guide to what that looks like and partnering with Families First to get that done. And then also working with Nancy DiPastino and the Suicide Prevention Project Tomorrow group, as well as the maternal mental health child group out of the health department to really look at suicide prevention for postpartum depression and moms of young children. So so that work is all happening with this $5,000. So a lot of work for, some dollars to go back into the community. And all of this is part of I just want you to be aware that this $5,000 is really part of a statewide prevention around substance use prevention with early childhood, and putting together resources that can be linked and shared across communities and regions. So like Ravalli County, Mineral County, people that, also live, work, and play in Missoula County will have access to those resources as well.
Thanks, Lisa. Good work. Questions?
Oh, it sounds great.
No.
Small amount of money for a big thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, and we just got to keep chipping away at it and build the awareness and break down the stigma is what we really need to do.
Great. All right. I'm ready to move that we request the board approve the chair to sign the MOU.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye. Thanks so much, Lisa.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you.
Lisa.
Have a beautiful day.
You
We
too.
will. Dory, are you back with us with the ever popular mowing PSA? Nope. Still looking for the mower. Okay, we'll continue to move on here. Oh, this is going to be a crowd pleaser for Josh. It looks like carpet and vinyl. Carpet and vinyl, Josh. I'm not seeing hardwood in there.
I am going to move that we just do this, and I'm thrilled that it's happening.
Thank you, Josh. I will share with everyone on the call. So this is a contract to replace the flooring over at 438 West Spruce. We talked about this building a couple weeks ago. The superintendent of schools entered into a lease agreement with a benefits plan to move into the first floor as well as a second floor office. We will also be seeing a contract once we get flooring installed to have part of the county attorney's office staff move into the third floor. And so with all of that activity over there, we thought it was time to replace the forest green carpet that has run its course. And so this is a contract with Pierce Flooring to get that installed by the end of August. We had hoped to get it in earlier, but this is actually kind of interesting. So carpet is delayed greatly right now because of both pandemic, but also the barge that was trapped in March apparently held a lot of supplies. Yeah, so like there's a back order. So carpet won't be in until late July. So we think installation should easily be done in August. So the total amount on this is $23,975.
Okay. What do y'all think?
I think we should get this done.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any further discussion? I want to see shag. Lots of shag. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
70 shag and vinyl. This is what.
Okay,
That's the look we're going for. I think it should be lovely. No.
Okay.
Erica, before we move on to your items, I have a special guest in my office. This would be Dory Brownlow. And so we're going to talk about mowing right now. Dory, what's going on with this mowing PSA?
Sorry about that. I don't know what the issue is, but I'll figure that out later. So this is for the mowing that we do out at the Missoula Development Park. And as of now, we mow the LaLonde Ranch lots and then the technology lots that we have for sale. So this is 1-year contract to get us through this season. And then at least Juniper knows there, some of that might go to parks, and they'll redo that next year and figure out the best way to get that mowing. So that's just for Branoy to get us through this year.
Okay. I move to approve the professional services agreement with Vanoy Enterprises LLC to get the development park mowed.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion on the mowing? Any burning questions from the media present on the mowing? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye. Thankfully,
Okay.
we were just
Thank
downstairs,
you.
Dory. Yeah.
Thanks, Dory.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dory.
You can stick around.
Okay.
There's lots of excitement to come. Erica, continue.
We're not going to talk about carpet anymore. So the next item that I have is for the benefits plan. So I was here with you all at an admin meeting in late April, and we talked about proposed rate increase of 3% for the medical benefits. So I'm back with both asking for approval on that increase, as well as presenting the amendments to the benefits plan for the upcoming plan year, which matches our fiscal year. So July 1, 2021 going forward. In your packet, you'll see an amendment which summarizes those changes to the benefits plan, and we can walk through each one of them. And then I also included a document that the benefits staff put together that will go out to all members of the plan, that hopefully provides a little bit more detail in terms of what those changes mean to benefits plan members. I do have Rebecca Miller, who's a benefits administrator, on with us. And so I'll quickly run through these, but if you have specific questions related to the amendments, Rebecca is probably the better person to go into detail on those. So the list of amendments, the first is we are adding a breast pump supply benefit. So currently the benefits plan provides a breast pump for new parents, really. Either mom or I believe dad can get a breast pump when a new baby is added to the plan. And it used to be that the plan would give that pump to the member. We would actually purchase them, store them here. We decided to change that benefit to just allow for a dollar amount on the pump. Now we've added a supply line, because there are things that have to be purchased to enable use of that. So that's a max benefit of $50 per birth. Supplies are covered at 100%, so there's no deductible or co-insurance applied to that. Routine medical exams. So historically, we have followed the Affordable Care Act here that requires 100% coverage for one routine medical exam per year. The plan would not cover any further expenses for routine medical exams. So what would happen is you could go in for one routine medical exam, say in July, and say you wanted to go back and go, it wasn't medically related. So you didn't have a cold, you didn't have something else going on, but you wanted to go back in and maybe have different labs run related to preventative care. We weren't covering any of that. This will change that to allow that visit to run through like any other visit. So it'll still be subject to deductible and co-insurance, but at least it's covered under the plan, if that makes sense. Gender dysphoria is really a change that in practice we changed when the law changed in terms of requiring coverage for services related to gender dysphoria. We just needed to match our language for us to be obviously legally compliant. So that doesn't change anything we've been doing from a practical standpoint in terms of covering services for gender dysphoria, ranging from behavioral health through any medical treatments that are medically necessary. Similarly, total joint care program, the benefits plan has had a contract with St. Patrick's Hospital for total knee, total hip replacement, whereby the plan covers 100% of certain expenses related to those surgeries. That's been in place for a number of years, but it hasn't been included in our plan document. I think both Rebecca and I take a standpoint that someone should be able to read the plan document and know what their benefits cover. This is one of those sort of mysteries that if you didn't ask the question, you wouldn't have known this service was available. So we're just making sure that it's in the plan and everyone knows it's out there. Same thing goes.
Shoulder?
No shoulder. You know, we've talked about shoulder, Juan. We'll see. It's usually an outpatient, I think. Rebecca, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's typically an outpatient. And so that's why it hasn't come under this, where the knee and hip are generally an inpatient surgery. So if we did the shoulder, it may be one where we want to look at a surgery center versus a hospital contract.
Got it. Okay, thanks for that.
Yeah, how about index finger knuckle?
It's not high on the list, but you never know.
Okay.
Walk-in clinic is the same thing. We've had these benefits. We're just making sure they're in the plan document. So this relates to contract we have with Community for their first care clinics. And then we also have a similar benefit with Grant Creek. Grant Creek is a copay benefit where it's a $25 copay. Community is, we're waiving the deductible. So just your co-insurance applies when you go there for that benefit. And then we're hopefully going to get something in place with PHC by July 1st. We have the terms, we just need to get me a little time to draft a contract.
Eric, I was going to ask about that. I'm really glad to hear that's in the works. That's great work.
Yeah, but I think it'll look a lot like the Community, where we'll waive the deductible and then it will just be a co-insurance apply. Yeah, I'm excited. Same thing, Mommy Tracks is a maternity program. It's been around for a while, just getting it into the plan document to communicate to members. Eye refractions, I might need Rebecca's help on. I'm going to let her take this one because it's always been covered under vision, but there's a reason that we're adding it under medical.
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, I'm also having bad connection issues, so I dialed in. So the eye refractions, eye refractions are specifically excluded under the medical benefit plan, which creates problems when we are trying to process claims that have a refraction but a medical diagnosis. So one of those is cataracts. Cataracts are typically treated as a medical claim, but oftentimes there'll be a refraction on the same claim. So if a member has medical and vision coverage, we have to actually split that claim into two, and we process the office visit under medical, and then the eye refraction under vision. Adding the eye refractions under the medical will just make it cleaner. It's more understandable to members. It makes the services, because the services are medical, that the eye refraction also goes under the medical benefits and not under the vision benefits.
Thanks.
Moving on, so prior authorization recommendation list. This frankly doesn't change the way we're handling claims, but it doesn't hopefully help members know which services, which are listed in the amendment, that they should really consider having their provider send in a prior authorization, because they're often either the claim stops and we say we need to have it reviewed by an independent medical examiner to make sure it's medically necessary and can be paid, or it just has a high rate of denial because it doesn't meet medical necessity. So this will hopefully stop members from getting services and then potentially having a claim denied. So we're just hoping, again, better communication to members will result in expectations, being met on the backside when the bills come into them. Physical therapy, we, I think a couple of years ago, put in a 21 visit for physical therapy per plan year, when in fact we should have said per diagnosis. The thing is, you can have, something happen to one body part and then to another body part, and your visit shouldn't apply in total, because that doesn't make any sense. So we have been practically looking at this by diagnosis. So it's really the way that we're reasonable over here. And so, but we want to make sure the plan language matches how our examiners are looking at these claims when they come in. So now it will just read 21 visits per diagnosis. That doesn't mean we don't pay beyond that, but we do send it out for review to make sure those visits are medically necessary beyond that 21.
Erica, what percentage of a physical therapy visit do we cover? What does that play out to?
So they would fall under the, deductible, that $500
Oh, okay. All right.
deductible, and then the 70/30.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's good news for
Speaking as
Josh and I.
I'm speaking as someone who has more than one broken body part.
Yeah, they're failing right and left. So.
Oh my gosh, it's unfortunate.
You guys have spent too much time around our CFO.
My Harley is parked in the barn.
Okay.
There he is.
There he is. Dental alternate procedures. I am also going to hand this over to Rebecca, but I can fairly confidently say that this is another one where we've been processing claims over here in a way that we're now just trying to make sure the plan language matches it. I think this is an old provision, but I'll let Rebecca take it.
Yes, Eric, exactly. It's old language. We haven't been practicing this language, and our agreement is that the dental benefits have a maximum. It's everybody gets a $1,200 maximum per year, and I believe by taking this language out, it gives members the ability to choose how they want to use that $1,200.
Okay.
This is great.
Okay, so with that, if you have any questions on any of these, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, the amendment is included. And I would also recommend in the motion, that you look to approve the amendment and then also approve that 3% increase that historically hasn't been included in an amendment like this. It's just been a verbal motion to allow us to go forward with those rate changes.
Well, I move to approve the benefit plan amendments and medical benefit premium rate increase of 3% for Missoula County Employee Benefits Plan for the plan year starting July 1st, 2021.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Virgin Pulse.
Great. So this last item, I'm not sure if Whitney, oh, there she is. Good. Whitney's able to join us. The wellness program, as you can imagine, had a pretty tough year in terms of trying to figure out how you engage employees in a wellness program that really was structured for in-person type contact. When all of our staff were, working in various locations that were not their offices, including our wellness coordinator. And we really didn't have a solid communication strategy for that program. So I think, when the pandemic hit, Whitney and I had talked about platforms previously that would allow us to kind of house our program from a digital perspective, allow there to be an app for your phone or using, your computer at work to be able to access the wellness services that the county has put together. And I think both of us were like, we don't know if it's financially worth it. Prior to the pandemic, it was like, do we really need to do this for our employees? Will this really make a difference? After what we've been through the last year and a half and looking forward to potentially having some hybrid work environments that I don't know that any of us expected a year and a half ago to be happening. I think this platform makes a great deal of sense to allow Whitney to really impact employees. So what you have before you is we went through a procurement process, a very robust procurement process. We had 10 plus vendors respond to an RFP for this, which just shows you kind of that this space it's happening. I mean, this is happening for all employers. Virgin Pulse came out as our selection for a number of reasons that, I think Whitney's probably better to share, but I'll just tell you that it seems like a very mature program in terms of they've been doing this a while. And it also looks like something that's really user-friendly, both from the perspective of Whitney's ability to use it, but I really think employees won't be overwhelmed by the program either. So it's a 3-year contract. $40,000 per year for a total cost of $120,000. The funding from this comes from the Wellness Fund, which is supported through a per employee fee that's paid into that fund. So I think this is a direct benefit for employees and we're super excited to get this off the ground. And I think rollout looks like it should happen in September if all goes well.
Great. Whitney, is there anything you'd like to add?
Just that I'm very excited as well. We, like Erica said, spent a good deal of the winter, going through different demos and really trying to find the best fit for the county. And Virgin Pulse just stood out above all the competitors. The things that we're going to be able to do with this program are going to be so beneficial, not only just from a platform standpoint, but also helping me to engage with each department and really bringing kind of a hands-on approach to all of the employee wellness. So I'm just really excited about this platform, and I think it's going to change kind of the whole scope of the wellness program as we've known it before.
So Strohmeyer, you won't have that index finger joint replacement will no longer be necessary.
That's right.
But Slotnick's pinky,
That
I
one
don't
is
know.
messed up.
Yeah, just don't use that one to navigate on the app. So
There you go.
Well, thanks for doing all the research and finding the best platform.
Yeah.
yeah, thank you. We'll look forward to giving it a try.
Yeah, do we get recaps on this? Like, so when do you know, Whitney, when you feel like, okay, this is I mean, I guess we're in it for 3 years, but what are your, when do you, what are your benchmarks?
So that's the really cool thing about Virgin Pulse is that they've been in this market for a really long time and their analytics are top notch. We will be able to pull all sorts of data reports at the end of each year. And so we're going to be off on the fiscal year a little bit this year. We're going to be launching in September, but after that, it should be running on our fiscal year. And so each year, what I've already been doing is putting together a strategic plan for the wellness program. And this will just give us all of the data that we need to actually evaluate our programming. So hopefully by this time next year, we'll be able to pull those reports and see how the first year went. And then, the subsequent years can only get better as we learn the programming and see, what people are really wanting and engaging with.
Great. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So us all staying healthy.
Yay.
Yes.
Okay. Someone like to
All
make
right.
a motion here?
So I would move that the board approve the chair to sign the service provider agreement.
Second.
Any further discussion on this? Okay, that beep was not making public comment. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All right. Thank
Thanks,
you all.
Erica. Whitney.
Thank you.
Thanks, Whitney. Thanks, Erica.
Okay, Chris, update us on what's before us by way of a compensation board recommendation.
Sure. Good morning, commissioners. So as you'll recall, the compensation board is a statutory requirement that looks at elected officials' salaries each year and determines the rate of pay for elected officials for the next fiscal year, which starts July 1st. So that group is made up of a host of elected officials around the county, including yourselves. This year you had on it as well the auditor's office, the justice court judge. I almost called Alex a district court judge there. Alex from district court or justice court was on there as well. You had the superintendent of schools included in that, also as the county attorney's office as a representative, and then you have citizen members of that as well. And this year we added Steve Johnson as one of our citizen members of that group. And so they meet each year and review a variety of criteria. So one of the things they look at, for example, is the compensation that is being paid around the county or around the state to other county elected officials, as well as we look at the every other year the state of Montana conducts a salary survey of elected officials across the state, and we look at that survey as well. And that survey that the state does is how they set the salary, for example, for the governor, for district court judges and others. And then we try to come up with, as a group, the best compensation package that we can that makes sense both in terms from a fiscal standpoint, but also in making sure that elected officials who often oversee departments, and all of these elected officials oversee departments in one way or another, are compensated for the work that they're doing for the county as well as for each of the individual citizens. So this year, as that group met, we really looked at the fact that last year, as you'll recall, we did a 1 cent raise because the pandemic was just starting off. We had a lot of uncertainty in that space. And so we felt it was really important. You felt it was really important to kind of hold off on that. And I think we're seeing that reflected in this year's, and the fact that when the state conducted their survey, there had been quite a bit of market forces that really had come into play for each of those positions that the state looks at and that MACo looks at across the state. And so I think we're seeing adjustments based on that as the recommendation for that. So with that, what you have in front of you is the compensation package in its entirety. And what that includes is a pretty aggressive move on what we call the uniform base. And the uniform base is paid to all elected officials, regardless of office. And so we have about a $2.76 an hour increase there. And the reason for that, again, is we're looking at the state. And if you average that out over 2,080 hours, that puts us on par with that average state increase, which is around between $5,000 and $6,000 for those elected official offices. So again, remember, we're trying to look at the level of work that those folks do, again, overseeing departments, in your case, overseeing all departments in the county, but also looking at how we relate to our peer counties and also how we relate to those same and very similar state positions. That state survey looks at a 5-state region. So we're looking at Montana, we're also looking at Idaho, the Dakotas, Wyoming. We're not trying to compare ourselves to, say, a Seattle or a Portland, right? We're trying to compare ourselves to the market that we actually are in. And then the other piece that makes up that is the longevity component, and that happens based on years in office. This year we had a couple of changes, though. As you'll recall, last year you moved to Justice Court of Record. And so we're recognizing the fact that Justice Court has taken on some additional responsibilities and duties. And so we're recognizing those elected officials and that change. And Justice Court judges of a court of record are tied to a percentage of a district court judge. Is the way the statute requires us to look at them. And so we've looked at that and made a comparison as a compensation board and then set those elected officials' salaries with that. So with that, that's what you have before you today. I think, again, this package really reflects where we are as both as a community, but when we look at our peers across the state, when we look at Yellowstone County, Gallatin County, and then when we look at the state. The other piece I wanted to tie with this, and we talked about this during the compensation board, is looking in particular, elected officials' pay is tied to deputy sheriff pay and detention center pay. Those are two positions, in particular the detention center, where we really struggle with recruitment and retention. Right now we have a number of open positions there, and so this move also helps to increase that entry rate for those positions, which makes us more competitive in the market, the job market that we're in. Again, with this low unemployment rate of about 3%. As you know, when we're trying to fill positions, it is a struggle. And so this will help with recruitment and retention in those areas as well, and puts us more on par with where the city of Missoula is as well, which is kind of our direct competitor, if you will, although we're not obviously in competition with the city. We're good partners with them. But when we look at deputy sheriff's wages, obviously we compare to city police officers. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
No, it's I'm just glad, Chris, that you said that. I mean, because otherwise it comes off as a story of like, oh, we're increasing our wages, but we're tied to this. I mean, if we want to increase the entry level for our detention officers, which is really important, this is the only way we can do it. And then
yeah. Commissioner Bureau, I think that's a really important part. As you know, I mean, the legislature this year and in years past has kind of made this nexus between elected officials and those detention and deputy sheriff's positions. And that's a really difficult place for that, because it may be that you want to recognize one of those individually, but you are tied by statute in what you can do, and they have to be tied together. So.
And another feature of being a general powers government as opposed to a self-governed entity like the city of Missoula, we are shackled to somewhat unwieldy requirements and one might argue antiquated ways of doing business and setting salary.
Absolutely.
Which could be fixed at some point in the future, but.
Yeah, and we've been in a position where we've ended up paying a lot of overtime out at detention, partly because we're never fully staffed, because it's a tough job and our wages haven't been as competitive as they needed to be. So hopefully this will help us decrease a bit in what we pay in overtime by being a bit more fully staffed.
All right.
I guess.
How about a motion?
Yes, with that, I motion that the board approves the recommendation of the compensation boards setting elected official salaries for fiscal year 2022.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Chris.
You bet.
Okay,
Thanks a lot,
moving
Chris.
right along.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the great explanation, Chris. That
Yeah,
was,
it's
Yeah,
a ton,
thanks,
I know you
thanks.
put a ton of work into this.
Yeah, and to all of the other elected officials and community members who were on the compensation board for this year, thank you. Shane, we have an interlocal agreement with the city, so they're going to do a bunch of chip sealing for us.
Yeah. So let me point you in the direction that we've asked them to chip seal. So if, maybe I'll zoom out here. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to zoom in here. This is the Miller Creek area. So we have asked the city to do a chip seal on Terrace Drive, Terrace, which is this road here, and then Lorraine. So it's kind of this big U. And it's, gosh, it is not far out of the city limits at all. So it's not a big ask for them to do this work for us. And then also Spurgeon Road, a short segment of Spurgeon Road, in between Clements and the cul-de-sac out here. So for Spurgeon Road, Terrace, Lorraine, Stonehaven, they were all paved within the last 2 years. Spurgeon was 2019, and then the remaining 3, they were all paved last summer. And I think, Josh, I took you up there and we
Yeah, it was nice. It looked good.
Yeah, they looked really good. So one of the things we haven't been doing is chip seals. The city is geared up to do chip seals. We've asked them, on different occasions how they might be able to help us, whether that's through equipment, manpower, materials. And so what we talked about with them was simply, all right, let's do an agreement. We'll pay you directly to do the work. And Brian Hensel's agreed to do that. So this is just a simple agreement for the city to do that work for us. I did do a kind of a comparison of what those costs look like compared to contractors. They are less than what we would pay a contractor to do. I think we were probably going to save somewhere around like $10,000, for them to do it versus having a contractor do it. So there's some money savings there. Eventually maybe we, invest in a distributor truck and a chipper and maybe start doing some of this stuff on our roads. But for now, we can hire contractors or have the city do it in the community here. So that's all I have. Any questions?
Shane, could you, for anybody who's listening, describe kind of what chip seal is?
Yes. So when we put down pavement on our roadway, there's still voids in that pavement. And what happens is water gets into those voids. And when we have freeze-thaw cycles over time, that pavement begins to deteriorate. So what we can do is put down a chip seal. And the chip seal is essentially an oil-based product that is basically sprayed by a distributor truck, and then chips are dumped, or small clean rock. They're fractured. They are spread across that oil covered surface and stick to the oil and the pavement. And what it does is essentially keeps the water out of those open pores in the pavement. And it also, with the chips, it adds friction. So in Montana, we like to do the chip seal rather than like what you would call a fog seal. You could do a fog seal in a warm climate where it's just you put the oil down and it seals up the pavement. But because we have ice and snow, we like that added friction, so the chips are added. So that's kind of the reason behind chip seals and how they work.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I was wondering what fog seal was, so thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, I'd move that the board approve and sign an interlocal agreement with the city so they can do this chip sealing for us.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the only thing that would have made this interlocal better would have been the city doing it for free for us, but we're still saving money, so that's a good deal.
All right,
Thanks, Shane. All right, we already blasted through correspondence. Our one discussion item today, which I think Chris will provide an overview for, is reorganization of the current Commissioner of Legal and Development Park position to a new Lands and Economic Development Director position. Chris?
Yeah, good afternoon, Commissioner. Good morning. I've already moved to afternoon, apparently. So as you know, our own Dory Brownlow is retiring here at the end of the fiscal year, and we will miss her greatly. She's been an amazing team member. She has helped us through a lot of transitions and times. But she also covers a lot of various duties around the county. And so we've been working to try and figure out the best way to kind of assign those duties. And so what I would like to talk to you today about is the plan that we have come up with, which will allow us to reorganize our structure just a little bit and create some opportunities, I think, that will really benefit the county as we move forward. And so as you'll recall, Dave, you were on the commission at the time, but a few years ago when our fairgrounds director left us, we were lucky enough to secure Emily Bentley at the time, now Emily Brock, as our redevelopment director for the fairgrounds, and she eventually transitioned to the fairgrounds director role. And we hired her specifically because of some great skills that she brings in that land use and planning area around using land as an economic development tool and redevelopment. And of course, I think anybody who has been to the fairgrounds has seen the phenomenal work that has been accomplished there, more to still go, but that is ongoing. And so what I'm asking for today is just your direction to make sure that you're on board with moving forward with a transition to have Emily take over some of those duties and move into a new role that would continue to include the redevelopment of the fairgrounds piece of it, but would also take over managing our TIF districts, our partnership with the Missoula Redevelopment Agency, as well as our own MDA board, and then continuing to work with us as we grow and expand how we use county lands and property and how we look at redevelopment across that. And that includes kind of a host of our building projects that will be coming up. And Emily is with us today, and I want to make sure to give her a chance to talk about that. But she brings some amazing skills that I think will really complement us nicely and fit into that role. So Emily, I'm going to give you a chance to chat for a few minutes.
Emily?
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity, and I'm really honored that you support my work and feel like I've done a good job. I'm excited to take on more responsibility. I feel like this is a great fit, especially as we go into strategic planning next year. I understand that it's going to be a little bit of shuffling of duties and that not everything is totally defined, and I'm okay with that gray area as we sort of figure things out. But the development authority is really something that I'm excited to take on. I like working with them. I have that background working with the MRA from the city perspective. And, mostly I'm just excited to continue working at the county. We have an awesome team at every level. And I think this position will cross over a lot of different departments. CAPS, Public Works, Facilities. And so I love working with those folks. And I've always thought that my goal was to work myself out of a job at the fairgrounds, and I'm not there yet. But so I'm excited to stay on at the fairgrounds. But I'm glad that we are thinking with a broader scope and how we can impact the community as a whole and make sure that we, look at economic development, not just for prosperity's sake alone, but for equity and quality of life. So.
Thanks, Emily. Any questions from the commission?
No questions, but I'd love to speak to this a little bit if I could, Dave.
Sure.
Good with that. So there's a moment here where we have to acknowledge two really remarkable people. On the one hand, we have Dory, who's leaving us, and really need to let her know our thanks and gratitude and acknowledge the great work that she's done. We all visited the development park out in Bonner yesterday, and it's incredible how many people are employed out there, and the economic buzz and the feel of commerce and activity, it's palpable, it's in the air. She's done an amazing job and set us up for more of the same at the Y. And here we have Emily Brock, who's done a similar thing, but in a different context at the fairgrounds. So we are continuing on, and in yet a bit of a new way. We're super fortunate that Emily can take her talents around creating complex financial arrangements that yield great land and economic development results into this program. So we're just in a great spot, and I want to be able to say that out loud. So thanks to Dory and thanks to Emily.
Thanks, Josh. Juanita, anything you want to add?
No, completely agree. Thanks so much, Josh, for saying that. It's so exciting, and this is the perfect time. And
it is the perfect time. I'm really looking forward to more TED-like things in some of the areas where we haven't been able really to address economic development, like in Sealy and in Frenchtown and in Lolo. And we're beginning a new chapter right now.
Thanks. Dory, are you back with us? Do you want to say anything?
Well, I'd like to. Can you hear me though?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yay. I changed out the headphones. So, no, thank you. Thanks for the kind words. And I'm excited. Emily and I've been talking and sharing. And so was happy she could come on the tour yesterday and see everything there. And I think we'll see, similar but different out at the Y. And I'm excited about that. And so I think it's really great. I know Em will charge ahead with it. So that's great. Thank you. Yes.
Dory, thanks for putting us in this position. I mean, this is
exactly well said.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I have very, very big shoes to fill.
Wow.
Thanks, Dory. Thanks, Emily. So, Chris, yeah, I think you have the consensus from us to move forward with this trajectory, and yeah, exciting path to follow.
Great. Thank you, commissioners. Really appreciate your support as always. And I know that there are great things on the future because of where Dory has positioned us and where Em can continue to move us. So
exactly.
Very good. All right. So concludes that item. Anything else communications wise? Allison, are you out there? Or is she on vacation?
I am. No, I'm not on vacation. I'm just working from home because school is out.
School is out.
Yeah. So yes, I have a little buddy here with me. So the only thing I have, you guys may have seen that Kyla added a few appointments to your calendar for the videos. It was actually kind of tough to find half-hour time slots where all three of you are available. So we were able to get 3 of those on the calendar, and we'll just keep trying to find little pockets of time to do those.
Great.
That's all I have.
Thanks.
Okay.
You don't want to leave a teaser, Dave?
Well, good stuff is coming, much like a tasty snack. It's within reach.
That was a good one.
Yes. So,
great.
Dave Erickson and Martin Kidston, stay tuned.
Tasty snacks are coming.
We don't want to tip our cards too much right now.
I'm going to need a little bit more than that, Dave. Come on.
You want to offer a description?
All right.
Yeah, okay. You'll pry it out of us. So what we are going to be doing and what we filmed the other day as part of our inaugural series is the opportunity for the 3 county commissioners, either collectively or individually, to come together and film little. Boy, I hear the keyboard on fire as we speak there. We will be filming with the help of MCAT a series of videos that talk about both what we're hearing from members of the community and kind of in response to that, what our thoughts are and how we might work on some of these issues that are at the forefront of our community's thinking, but also some of the individual projects and initiatives that we as commissioners are engaging with, either individually or collectively. So this is
stay tuned.
Stay tuned. This will be conversational in nature. Josh?
I just said short little videos coming out.
Short little videos. Yeah.
Okay.
Much like a tasty snack.
All right. Interesting. We'll look forward to that for sure. Right.
Okay, I bet. Anything else communications wise or anything else good of the order before we adjourn?
Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Goodbye.